नाभदिव्यै छविसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेमरसप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So, yesterday we read, yes, we were discussing about the six enemies, and one of the words I was not able to remember the English term. So, there is lust, greed, anger, envy, all these things. So, calm is lust, calm, krodh means anger, calm, krodh, lobh means greed. Then calm, krodh, lobh, moha is attachment. Then Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mother is illusion, or getting illusion due to intoxication. That can be intoxication due to anything. It could be intoxication due to false pride. It could be anything. So usually it is that pride or the ego. So mother. And Matsarya. Matsarya means jealousy or and envy. Now this so these are the six enemies that constantly the conditioned soul is struggling with. The conditioned soul doesn't know about it because it is covered with these enemies, and because it is constantly under the it is being guided, or it is being managed, taken care by the three modes of material nature, by Prakriti, by the material nature, and therefore they are constantly suffering the threefold miseries, because they are never able to come out of this contamination of the three modes of material nature, and they are always subjected to these six enemies that we just mentioned, that we discussed yesterday also. So such is the everlasting disease of the conditioned soul. It is not talking about the body, it is talking about the soul, that is our soul. Now I'm saying our soul, but actually I am the soul. So the soul is me. I am not the body, I am not my mind, I am not my intelligence, I am not the ego, I am none of these things. I am not the flesh, the blood, the brain, the all those things, nothing. The hand, the feet, the legs, the fingers, the eyes, nose. I am not all of these things. These are just made of the Panchabhuta that we discussed yesterday, the five elements of nature. Together they form this body, but I am that soul, the minute particle which cannot, it is like, it is so minute that it cannot be seen even under the most powerful microscope. It is not possible to see it. Nobody can splash water and make it wet. That is also not possible. Nobody can cut it into pieces or into even two pieces. That is also not possible. So the soul can never be killed. The soul never takes birth. The soul never dies. The body takes birth and the body dies. So as soon as the soul enters into the body, as soon as the consciousness enters into the body becomes lively. And as soon as that consciousness leaves that body, the body is dead. There is no use of that body. That is a dead body. So, diseased and conditioned, the living entity transmigrates all over the universe, not just this one planet, but all over the universe. Sometimes he is situated in the upper planetary system. Upper planetary system is the Svarglok, there is the Gandharva Lok, all these lokas are there. So, upper planetary system, and sometimes he travels in the lower planetary system. Lower is this is the middle one, the Bhulok, Bhuvarlok, all this is the middle planetary system. And the lower planetary system is the Patal Lok, then there is the Narak Lok, all these. So sometimes he goes in the upper planetary system and sometimes in the lower. So we have also taken birth sometimes in the planet of Indra, sometimes we're in the Gandharva lok, some other Devata lok, somewhere else. We also enjoyed all those, drinking somaras and enjoying company of all these celestial beings. And then when our enjoyment, which is dependent on the karma that we have done, somebody doing lot of good karma, thinking that if I do good karma then I will get good results, that means I will be able to enjoy the good fruits. So what is the enjoyment of good fruits? Okay, somebody may be going to the higher planetary system, but shine punya martya loke, that means once that account balance is over, has been used up, the good karma has been used up, what happens is that that soul will again twing, and fall down to this material world. I mean, into this planet in the middle planetary system, or even worse, it will go to the lower planetary system. So, right after enjoying in the upper planetary system, the soul may have to go to the lower planetary system, and there it has to go through various kinds of yatana. That means lot of punishments for whatever bad karma they have done. So this way, the living entity just transmigrates all over the universes, takes enters into different bodies, enter into different planets, sometimes enjoying, sometimes suffering, and most of the time it is only suffering only. That enjoyment is very rare, and that is also so called enjoyment, because as soon as that is over, the soul has to fall down and again suffer. So, in this way, he leads his diseased conditioned life. His disease can be cured only when he meets and follows the expert physician, the bona fide spiritual master. When the conditioned soul faithfully follows the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, his material disease is cured. He is promoted to the liberated stage, and he again attains to the devotional service of Krishna, and then he goes back home, back to Krishna at the end of that life. A conditioned living entity should become aware of his real position. What is my real position? Who am I really? Am I really? Uh, I may have a legal name, Soma. Okay, am I really Soma? I should think about it. Is this really my family? Is this really what am I supposed to do? What happens after death? These questions should arise in mind, and we should try to genuinely know the answers, and then based on that accordingly live our life. So conditioned living entities should become aware of their real position and pray to the Lord, how much longer will I be ruled by all these bodily functions such as lust and anger? As masters of the conditioned soul, the lust and anger are never merciful. Whenever there is lust, there is immense hankering. Lust doesn't just mean that there is an attraction towards the opposite gender. Lust means whenever we have a hankering for something, it can be anything. It can be the opposite gender, it can be a material thing, it can be any material desire. That is lust. When you have an hankering that I want this, I want this, I want this, that is lust. There, people have lust for respect. People want respect. That is also lust. People want anything, because all of these things are material. So anything material, when there is hankering, that is lust. And whenever there is lust, whenever there is hankering, the mind just cannot keep itself calm. Then constantly the thought comes in my mind, oh, when will I get it, when will I get it, how can I achieve it, what can I do? So the conditioned soul is suffering because of that, because there is no peace due to that lust. And then if somebody's this desire is not fulfilled, what happens is there is anger, because then, oh, why did I not get it? Now, what can I do to get it? I will do anything required to get this. And therefore we see that these days the crime rates are also increasing. So whenever there is lust and anger, they are never merciful. They are constantly troubling, agitating us, and therefore we are constantly suffering. Indeed, such bad masters never cease demanding service from the conditioned soul. Do this, do that, give me this, give me that. But when he comes to his real consciousness, what is the real consciousness? Krishna consciousness. He stops serving these bad masters and approaches Krishna with a frank and open heart to achieve his shelter. At such a time, he prays to Lord Krishna to be engaged in his transcendental loving service. That now, O Krishna, I have been constantly being ruled, being orchestrated by these two masters, lust and anger. But for how much long time am I going to suffer these bodily functions? They are not merciful, and therefore, Krishna, I have come to you. Now, please take me in your shelter. Now, please make me do that is pleasing to you. Whichever way you want to use me as an instrument, please do so. But now I want to be in your shelter. So use me as an instrument and make me do whatever you want that is pleasing to you. I don't want this lust and anger to be my master. I want you to become my master. I am accepting your servitorship. Please engage me in your loving transcendental service. All this while I have been serving this lust, anger, greed, all these enemies. They are my enemies, but I never knew about it. So I have been serving them. But now I want to serve you, my dear Lord Krishna. This is how Mahaprabhu is teaching us to pray. Sometimes the Vedic literature highly praises fruitive activities, mystic yoga, and speculative search for knowledge as different ways to self realization. Yet, despite such praise, in all the Vedic literature, the path of devotional service is accepted as the foremost. In other words, devotional service to Lord Krishna is the highest perfectional path to self realization. And it is recommended that it should be performed directly. Why is this being said? Fruitive activity, mystic meditation, and philosophical speculation, they are not the direct methods of self realization. They are methods of self realization, but they are indirect methods, and these are only levels. So, one level will after many birth may take you to the next level. Then again the practice of the next level may take you to the next level after many birth. So these are all indirect methods. Even Krishna is saying this, that those people who are worshipping the demigods for something, they are actually also worshipping Krishna only, but indirectly. They do not know it, but they are indirectly serving Krishna, and that is not very that is not very intelligent thing to do. Does that mean that we should not respect the demigods? No. We offer our highest respects to all the demigods, to all the devatas, because they are all servants of Krishna, and therefore they are all devotees of Krishna, and therefore we offer our most respectful obeisances and respects to them because they are serving Krishna so nicely, so perfectly in their departments, in their duties. But that does not mean that we will worship them directly to acquire some material thing, because anything material will keep us in this material world, and that means Dukkhalaya Ashashvatam. This material world is Dukkhalaya Ashashvatam. So if we are stuck in this material world, we are going to repeat in this cycle of suffering and pain, and we will never come out of it. So therefore, we should seek shelter of the Supreme Lord. And the purpose is not that, oh, because there is so much suffering, so we want to come out of this suffering. Chalo chalo abhi Krishna ki puja karo. Krishna ki puja jap karne se hai na hamare jitne all the sufferings and pains will come out of it. No, not like this. Devotees, they are not concerned with whether they are getting suffering or whether they are getting all the luxuries and ekdam aram se they are living. They are not concerned with these things. They are only concerned with serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. What is going to please Krishna? What is the instruction of Krishna? What is the instruction of my bona fide spiritual master? If my bona fide spiritual master says that you live in a big house and you call the Vaishnavas, you do Sankirtan there, you preach there, then we will then that is what is going to please Krishna. So we will go ahead and purchase a big house and everything. But if If my spiritual master says that no, you don't require all that thing, you just live in a one small tiny apartment and you do your sadhana, you do your seva. Okay, then that means this is what is going to please Krishna. So, whatever the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master is, we should know that that is the only thing that is going to please Krishna. Anything outside of that is actually just simply sense gratification. We may think that we are doing some great devotional service, but uh, if that is not the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master, we should know that that is not pleasing to Krishna. Therefore, it is very, very important that we are under guidance, we are taking guidance under the bona fide representative of the bona fide spiritual master. This is very important. If we are not under guidance, then we should know that we are in dangerous waters. What to speak of people who are not in Krishna consciousness itself. But even in Krishna consciousness, to be on the right track, it is important that there is someone who is leading us the way. We are blind people. If a blind person is walking in the forest, the person is sure to get lost because he is blind. Okay, not only get lost, but will fall on like these thorny branches and stones and will get hurt. And then ultimately the blind person will think that, Arey, why did I even come here? That let me, now sit here only. And there he may not even get some proper food and water and will just die. So what is happening? It's useless. The purpose is not solved. And therefore, it is of no use. But now, suppose the blind man wants to cross this forest, and there is somebody who is an expert, who knows the way, who is not blind, holds the hand and takes this person. What is the blind man supposed to do? Just simply trust this person. That's all. And that person will safely take you on the other side. This blind person is ourselves. We are this blind person. And that person who is an expert is the bona fide spiritual master. So, when the bona fide spiritual master instructs us something, he knows that uh, this is the best remedy, or this is the best method by which I am going to come out of this forest very quickly. I will be able to overcome all these six enemies very quickly. My spiritual master knows what I require. That doesn't mean that what is right for me or what will work for me will work for 10 more people. It is not so. Therefore, we need individual guidance. It is not that we hear something in the class and we accept that, okay, this is my instruction. That is foolishness. Yes, there are certain things that are direct instructions for everyone, but everyone's personal situation may not be the same. The situation for Reena Mataji may not be exactly what is the situation for Lokamohan Krishna Prabhu. The same situation may not be so for Nandini Priya Mataji. So we should understand that our individual situations are different based on our own past karma. We have been put in this laboratory. This is like a test laboratory. So everything that we are going through is our own karma. The juice, the fruits that we are enjoying is the fruits and the juice of our own beautiful karma that we have done in the past millions of lifetime. Now what is required for me to cross over this? Because I'm done with all these fruits and juices. I am not enjoying it actually. What am I supposed to do? Simply take guidance from somebody who is senior, somebody who is more advanced in Krishna consciousness. Now, again, senior does not mean somebody who is senior just only in age. It's not required. Somebody could be 40 years younger than me, but highly advanced in spiritual knowledge, highly advanced spiritually in Krishna consciousness. And another important thing is that that person should also be under guidance of a bona fide representative. That person is not under guidance and trying to guide someone else. That is also andha taking andha across the forest, blind taking blind across the forest, which is not going to be successful. So this is Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara means the parampara, the disciplic succession of Diksha as well as Shiksha. There has to be a succession. If there is a gap, if there is a break, it will not work out. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was very clear. And if we see the Bhagavad Gita as it is, uh, Bhagavad Gita as it is by our Srila Prabhupada, we see that in the very first few pages, there is a complete list of our disciplic succession, starting from Lord Krishna till Srila Prabhupada. There is no gap. It is a complete list who gave who gave the knowledge to whom, and how this diksha has, who gave initiation to who are the shiksha disciples. Everything is there. The entire list is there. So therefore, it is an absolutely bona fide parampara. So, in such a bona fide parampara, we just need to seek a bona fide spiritual master. We just need to seek a bona fide representative of the bona fide spiritual master, and our life will become successful if we follow the instructions sincerely. So, fruitive activity, mystic meditation, philosophical speculation, they are not direct methods of self realization. They are indirect because without devotional service, they cannot lead to the highest perfection of self realization. Why every time this is being said? Because in the spiritual world, everybody is engaged in devotional service. So, unless we practice it from here, what is our use in the spiritual world? We cannot go there, because everybody in the spiritual world, they are only interested to serve Krishna unalloyed and in loving devotional service, unalloyed, unconditional, without any conditions. Whether I get pain, whether it doesn't please me, whether aslishyava padaratam pinashtuma adarshana marmahatam karotuva, I may be serving Krishna for so many years, but Krishna, you are not looking at me favorably. You are not giving me your grace or your mercy. This is unconditional. That Krishna, I still want to just serve you. Krishna is not cruel, but this is the mood of the pure devotees. Krishna is very, very merciful. Krishna is waiting on one foot to serve the devotees. But the mood of the devotee is like this. Aslishyava padratam pinashtumam adarshanana marmahatam karotuva yatha tatha vidadhatu lampato. You may throw me here and there. You may embrace me so tightly that it starts hurting. Krishna, it is hurting me. Don't embrace me so much. Or Krishna may not even look at us, and we are constantly serving Krishna. We are crying in separation, but Krishna is nowhere. But Krishna, I want to continue serving you for your pleasure. If you are pleased by seeing me in this condition, then that is perfectly fine, because I want to serve you. That is the highest perfection of self realization. That is the mood of the pure devotees. We may not be there. This is the mood of the pure devotees, but we want to become purified, and we want to be in that level, so that when somebody is unconditionally serving Krishna, such a person can never be unhappy. Can never be unhappy. Such a person is in the utmost bliss, actually. And that is the highest perfection of self realization. Indeed, all the paths to self realization ultimately depend on the path of devotional service. So we'll pause here. In Krishna willing, we'll continue reading again tomorrow. Thank you very much for your kind association. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्री जय पताका स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All
Hari Bol.
glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.